And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of the Road to Revenue series with Factors.ai. Factors.ai we have had the fortune of having great guests alongside both marketing practitioners, agency owners, a lot of senior executives or startup founders who work with us as well. But today we have a special guest, Anthony Blattner. Very, very, very happy to have you here, and it's a privilege to have you here, Anthony. Thanks a lot for making time to talk to us. And the topic of discussion here is something which goes a little deep, and it's not for LinkedIn basics here, but LinkedIn as a platform has grown to more than 1 billion users, and it is the primary B2B marketing platform, which is where like one both not just from a content angle or an audience angle, people are there with an intent to learn about businesses or learn about how to upgrade their business profile and business life, which is very clearly there. And that becomes a primary B2B marketing platform, which is there. But within that, there are new ad formats which are coming. This like over the last 4 years, there has been several innovations which have come through LinkedIn. And here we are to talk about thought leadership ads, which is a totally unique concept itself in the first place with Anthony. And that's something which we are here for. So, Anthony, before we dive in, a brief or a 2 to 5 minute introduction about yourself. We have a lot of questions to ask you about your journey more later into the call, but I'll just let you take the introduction about yourself and your company before we dive in.
Okay, then I'll keep it short and we can dive in later. But my name is Anthony. I lead Speedwork. We're a LinkedIn agency, and pretty much all we do is LinkedIn marketing. So spend a lot of time on the LinkedIn platform, doing a lot of ads, a lot of different types of campaigns. I'm one of 9 people that are actually certified for LinkedIn marketing in the US. I'm in the Certified Marketing Experts program. And that's been great to like meet everyone inside of LinkedIn, meet the other experts, and go to some LinkedIn events. I just went to the B2B event 2 weeks ago in New York City, and it was cool to hear from LinkedIn, all the updates and things kind of coming down and get to meet everybody at LinkedIn there. But I've been working on the LinkedIn platform. I think it's been maybe 8 years now at Speedwork at this agency. So I've gone super deep on the ads platform. I know it inside and out. We've worked across lots of different industries. So we can dive into all that today.
Awesome. Thanks a lot for this thing. I'm pretty sad now that I missed you at the B2B event. I should have been there on but April 1st week, but unfortunately, with visa issues, I wasn't able to be there. But hopefully the next event. Factors is also a LinkedIn marketing partner. So we did the large event in November. We also did another event with G2 and LinkedIn Live as recently in March. And now we are going to do some more in this thing. But more towards on at a very simple level, just for the audience introduction, Factors.ai is a account intelligence, B2B account intelligence, activation and attribution product. Very, very specifically, we are long on LinkedIn. We are one of the LinkedIn marketing partners where we get a unique set of data points from LinkedIn. We combine that with other signals, right, from website, CRM, marketing automation, G2, etc., to say that which accounts are most likely to convert, and more importantly, which campaigns and which marketing activities are driving the pipeline so that you can optimize both your marketing activities and make sure you go after the right accounts. That's what Factors.ai solves for. We are venture funded, 3.5 years old, now almost more than 250 customers. And we have just moved into the 8-figure revenue range. So that's our scale so far. So thanks a lot for the introduction. Now, just into the business of what we are talking about. What are thought leadership ads? We have read about thought leadership articles, thought leadership content, you have Gartner, you have this thing. But what are thought leadership ads within the framework of LinkedIn advertising ecosystem?
Yeah, so the new thought leadership ads are really what it is now having the ability to boost posts from people. Before that, ads would only be able to come from a LinkedIn company page. So you had to have your company page, and then you could only run ads that were coming from the company page where the logo and the name would be in the top left. But now with thought leadership ads, that's now having the capability to go and be able to boost posts from people both at your company and outside your company. So it really opens up kind of a whole new way of advertising where now you can have the people directly boost their post as an ad.
Earlier, we had organic social ads with LinkedIn, right? So you had the standard general banner ads and the single page banner ads which were there. But then there's organic social page ads where like if a company posts about a particular ad or a particular product page or something, we are able to promote that.
Right.
How does this differ from that kind of an ad audience where like why would this be totally different and who would be the same?
Yeah. So yeah, you were always able to boost posts from company pages, but now you can boost posts from the people themselves. So why it's different is because people will always interact with other people more than they will companies, and we have seen that like in the data. When you boost posts from people, you're going to get 3, 4, 5 times or more the engagement rate than your standard company page post would. So that opens up a lot of opportunities on top of that. So number one, of course, it's good to have people always want to interact with people more. So content's more engaging. We find higher consumption rates for when people are reading posts, clicking through and stuff like that. So engagement rates are like way higher, which then also allows you to get cheaper costs on the platform because every ad platform wants to encourage and promote advertisers that have good content that are creating good experiences on their platform. So thought leader ads, because the engagement's so high, you get a very high quality score and kind of a cost discount on your advertising. So you're getting a lot cheaper ad costs, which then improve your ROI metrics, can improve your ROI metrics overall when you're able to drop your costs and still get similar results. So they're great for lots of different places in the funnel, but that ability to get cheap impressions is really what it kind of unlocks, is like a new opportunity to get a lot cheaper impressions on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's always had the, everyone always says, LinkedIn ads are expensive. LinkedIn ads are expensive. And that's true when you compare it with like other platforms like Facebook and stuff like that, and like display ads other places. But the quality is good on LinkedIn, but now the thought leader ad opportunity allows you to get a lot cheaper costs and now be competitive in like a CPM basis with other platforms, with still being on LinkedIn and having that good targeting. So kind of opens up a lot of new opportunity. A lot of companies may have avoided LinkedIn ads beforehand just due to the costs, and that makes sense. But now this opens up a new opportunity where you can go and you can run thought leader ads and get a lot cheaper costs than you would previously.
Got it. Actually, this is interesting. So instead of you running a direct ads from a company page or even posting a company page ad, now you can have someone who's not even an employee of the company or
yep. So that's the new release as of like maybe a month ago or so. So the first step was being able to boost employees at the company. They had to list it on their LinkedIn profile, and now maybe like a month or two ago, the ability came out where now you can boost posts from people outside the company too. So this does open up like a whole new, channel of like influencer marketing on LinkedIn, where sure, it might have existed beforehand and people would post about things and promote products and stuff. But now it's pretty cool that now that company can go boost posts from that person. So if that person is, posting about a tool that they're using, that company can then go boost the post from that person. And then, that allows you to really leverage that person's voice, leverage that person's audience, and then kind of build upon that. So I feel like we're going to see a whole explosion of influencers on LinkedIn. Not that they're not already there, but now there's going to be more, companies are going to take more advantage of that.
No, this is actually pretty exciting because one thing is like we do get a lot of customer love from companies and our customers, and they either do a G2 review in case because we want to have a certain review page, and companies go to G2 to check. Any prospects go to G2 to check whether the company is for real and other this thing. But we also have quite a few times where customers say like, okay, I'm using this tool, or they even when they get into a conversation, they say like this tool works really well for me for this use case. So when I'm trying to do attribution for LinkedIn, I have used factors.ai. They've been able to show how the LinkedIn attribution works well, and it was helping me justify LinkedIn costs very, very clearly. Or something like when I'm looking at like which signals matter for my conversion or something they've been using. So kind of general conversational posts which are there, which comes in. And also it has also been a case where like sometimes companies come and say like, or any user has said that in a general conversation or even write a post saying that which tools in my tech stack are there as a marketer, and they mention a particular company and other this thing. This generally doesn't get noticed much. Maybe it'll have 120 likes, some couple of 5,000 impressions after that, and then it dies out and we say like thanks a lot for customer love and other things. Now you're saying company can actually take this post and boost it?
Right. So it adds a whole lot of longevity to your posts because organic, it might be live for a couple of days. LinkedIn's getting some more long tail engagement on organic posts. So I've seen stuff like, a week or more than that I'm getting likes on certain posts, or we see people get likes on certain posts. But now you can go take that and boost it and put it into a campaign, and then you can just continue to run that post for the long term. So adds a lot of longevity to your posts. And then you were talking about like G2 and reviews and stuff. So it's like super common to do like social proof types of ads on LinkedIn, and in general advertising. That can be a good tactic for when somebody's considering you. Run ads for social proof, share testimonials, results other people have gotten. Those are like a very common type of ad, but it's even better if you can get that person to make a post about LinkedIn, and then if you can get a handful of those, and then suddenly you're somebody who's considering your software. They're like seeing the other people. They're seeing 5 or 6 other voices saying they like your tool in your company. That's like such a more powerful message to be delivered to them, rather than you're going to put your testimonial quote in like an image or in your ad copy. People read that, but actually hearing it from the person makes it so much more impactful. So we find that to be a lot more effective.
Yeah, I actually see. I mean, earlier, the same kind of post used to be like you have a G2 review, you take a image snapshot of it, put it
Right.
into an ad, and then run that ad with a selected target audience. But here it is like totally someone who's a third party and could be an influencer, could be a customer, could be a user, which is there in the product, who's talking about the product in a more real sense. It's more like the Instagram vloggers, etc., which can actually come into this thing. That's what you're saying. But how does the mechanics work? I mean, do we need to take any permission? Because can I take any post and then promote it? Or how does it, if I'm this thing?
There is a permission step, and I think that is very important. So yes, when you try to boost, when you go through the workflow to boost a post from a person, it's going to first send a request to that person to approve. That person's going to get a notification on LinkedIn. They're going to get an email, and then they just have to click approve, and then you can then boost it. After that, they can also turn on auto approve. So if you have people at your company that you're going to be boosting lots of posts for, it's nice that they can just click auto approve, and then boom, you can just automatically do that in the future. But yeah, so the first time you're going to boost a post, they have to approve that before you can go ahead to boost it. And that's an important step to have there.
Is there any limitations to it? I mean, for example, LinkedIn invites, they say like, okay, don't do more than 40, 50 invites, connections per week or something like that. Is there any kind of limitations like that?
That's a good question. I know when they first rolled out, I think it was like 5 or 10 it was limited to, but we have some accounts that I've boosted a whole bunch of posts, and I have not seen a limit. So I think they've taken that away.
Actually, quite insane, because it's like there can be a lot of good things which can happen out of it, and also certain this thing, because some of the larger companies which can boost about their own product and other this thing can be all over the internet in some form, which is that. But that's interesting. But in a sense, I quite understand this, like thought leadership ads or even totally an external third party promoting humanizes the brand better. It's like basically gives a person to person connection, as you mentioned in the beginning. It's not something like I'm taking a G2 profile and a company is promoting a brand, or I'm even taking a general ad and promoting, or even making a great copy. A human post which is written in raw English and this thing sometimes make a very good copy, because it's like a raw emotion about what they feel good about the product and how they feel about it. And they might have even organically posted it, and it would have had a life of, as you said, like a week or so, which is based on like 120 likes or whatever it is. And then promoting it and actually gives that a larger audience, saying that, okay, this was something which was posted by a particular person. They really liked it. We take the permission. So in a sense, this actually opens up the influencer market also, right? I mean,
definitely does. I think I posted maybe a week or two ago of like, this kind of enables a whole new type of funnel on LinkedIn, where there are a lot of people that maybe it's just them. They're a consultant, they're a coach, maybe they have they're selling some kind of course. But that whole kind of market, they like to post a lot on their own profile. They don't post on their company page very much. And really, it's about them. It's about their expertise, their knowledge. Maybe they're selling a course or some kind of service. So it kind of creates a new ability for influencer funnels on LinkedIn, where now, just like an ad campaign, you might split it into your certain awareness building ads and your certain retargeting ads. You can now, as an influencer, you'll have your posts that you're making anyways, where You might have certain posts that are meant to be like awareness building, maybe others that are building your social proof, and then maybe others that are your offers that you're making. So now you can take your posts that you're already posting and then boost them in those different ways so that your awareness posts can be, maybe those are your main drivers. And then people who engage with your awareness post, you can then go retarget with one of those testimonials from somebody else. And then you can go retarget those with the different offers for your courses or your product launches when they do come out. So essentially, yeah, it creates a whole new kind of funnel for influencers where they could always run ads from their company page, but they want to leverage, they want to build themselves as being a thought leader. So it now allows them to do that with their own posts.
Yeah. Actually, one more thing, as you're saying, of course, one is like existing influencers and others can actually promote their posts instead of just having, let's say, 5,000 impressions or 100 likes or something. They can actually post and boost it as well to get it screened. But it also democratizes the influencer market. For example, earlier, let's say I am a founder of a very large community or a podcast host, etc. I am a kind of an authority on MarTech or HR tech or any specific thing, and I promote posts around this, and that can also now be promoted. That is one thing. But now, a user of a product, let's say, who's just say VP marketing or a demand generation manager somewhere else, talking about an attribution product which has, let's say, he might have only 5,000 connections or 10,000 connections, that can also be posted, and it basically gives him an influencer pipeline as well. I mean, just for that particular thing. So it can be anybody can be an influencer rather than a kind of like people with a certain kind of a connections. This is something which is that something which is being used, or how's that the thing?
Yeah, and I like that. Like everyone could be an influencer, and it's true, both like internally at a company and externally. Another point you maybe think about is to mention that now when you're boosting those posts from people, that follow button will follow the person. Before, when it was a company post, it would click to follow the company. So it's just another tool that influencers or consultants and coaches can use when they want to build their own following. They can use that, and people will then follow them. It's a way to build your following and stuff like that. And then, yeah, everyone can be an influencer. And like some of the most effective ones are, any company, you probably have multiple people who are those subject matter experts at your company. And there's lots of different use cases for this, but boosting posts from those different technical areas to maybe prospects in those technical areas is a good tactic, both from the selling side and then also from the recruiting side. If you're hiring, then somebody who's like a good technical specialist is going to look up to somebody who's a more senior, good technical specialist that's like posting good stuff on LinkedIn. Designers are going to follow designers, and engineers are going to follow engineers. So if you can then leverage the content that your senior engineers are putting out, junior engineers are going to look up to them and be following them. And then that's just kind of another lead in to help your recruiting pipeline. So that's an effective strategy. And then a lot of things that we'd like to do are matching up the persona of who's posting with the persona of somebody on the, on your prospects at your prospects company. So executive to executive, again, engineer to engineer, and like stuff like that. So that you can, these people are going to engage mostly with either their peers or people they look up to. So that's what we think about when we match up those personas.
Awesome. I understand this is also just a little over a month old. It's like thought leadership ads and influencer ads, which is there. But any kind of best practices, like what kind of poses? It can be a video ad, it can be an image ad, it can be just a short post, long post. What are the best practices? Anything which you can share from your experience working with clients and others here?
Yeah. So thought leader ads have been available since last July, but it's like just a month or two ago that now you can boost posts from people outside the organization. So it has been available for like several months now, but I will say there's still a lot of green opportunity because it like, especially at bigger companies, it's hard to, number one, get those people to post, and then number two, to kind of orchestrate that so that they can post it, then get approval to boost and stuff. So there's still a lot of opportunity there. And especially if you're a small company or just an individual, that there's a lot of opportunity because it's hard for some of these bigger ones to do all that. So as far as like what can you do? So right now you can do video posts, image posts, text only posts, and now you can do link preview posts. So if you do have a link preview in your post, you can now boost that. Originally you couldn't do that, but now you can. So that kind of like, those are different formats right there that, maybe your images and your videos are your awareness building ones. And then when you're ready to make an offer that you have the link there, your link preview post, that one's going to then drive more people to your website. And then as far as like format, it kind of just depends on the content that you're posting about, but video content from people is the most engaging. The more that someone's going to sit there and watch you talk, they're going to get to know you. And it almost like shortcuts the webinars, it shortcuts like Zoom sales calls and stuff like that. So the more that somebody sits there and watches you, the more that they're going to feel like they know you. It's the whole know, like, and trust thing. So video posts are what I advocate for a lot. But again, it depends on what the content is. If you have like a case study and you have an image from that case study, then post that and boost that. But videos are great because very high fidelity interaction where somebody really gets to know you, and then they're going to feel like they know you more too.
So how do companies launch these ads? I mean, I understand you need a permission from a person. You're this thing, and as you mentioned, video or a proper text, and this thing makes sense. So do they currently, from your experience, do they already have like, okay, these are the influencers which we want them to promote our posts or promote our product or something? This is a kind of like, I'm going to give this ad copy, etc., or a text copy to them so that they can write about it. We can record a video here and then post. Or does it something like happen like, hey, we want you to, it's something like you have written something about it, we want to promote that post? Or it is more like you can write what you want and we will decide we can promote it or not? I mean, what are the kind of mechanics how this starts working with? Because it's like,
yeah, I've seen kind of both scenarios play out where lots of companies, maybe the owner founders posting a lot on their own. You can just kind of start with their content that they're already posting as like an easy first step. And then sure, there's times where maybe like the marketing team's going to work with whomever that person is to help them draft a couple of posts to say, hey, here's some formatted content for you. Feel free to post this, add this into your mix, and then we can make sure that we're boosting that. Some people internally, maybe they're not comfortable with posting, maybe they haven't done it much. So that's also where providing them some starter content could be useful. So sometimes we'll draft out posts or, give them some guidance on best practices and stuff like that. And then they'll post those and then we'll boost them. But then lots of times, especially at big companies, you might have a few different employees that just love engaging on LinkedIn, being active there. And like, sometimes that's also some of the best stuff too, because it's just raw and natural. Yeah, I've definitely seen both formats.
I think, but it's still early days. I mean, I think eventually it'll grow into a kind of a studio-like approach as well, or something which is like just like, okay, just make a raw and natural thing and we promote it, or we identify items and then ascribe to it. I think a lot of B2Cification of B2B is happening now, which is also a great news because that would open up a huge marketing potential where like what we see in Instagram and TikTok might happen to LinkedIn as well. At a fundamental level, this is there. One couple of things. It's, of course, I mean, companies, we do something like $5,000 per month as a LinkedIn ads. Other companies would have a $10,000 month in this thing, and it's a proper LinkedIn ad strategy. They do multiple things. They upload an audience list. They have a retargeting. They have a lookalike targeting. They also have a very specific like a ABM targeting, like whichever ones which they are going to target both on their emails or on their programmatic ads. They also want to target them on LinkedIn with specific titles, etc. How does this integrate with the broader LinkedIn marketing strategy?
Yeah, so it kind of creates a lot of new opportunities. There's so many places in the funnel that you can then use these. And there's so many times where I would say, hey, just split test this with whatever your company page ad is and see if this beats that. A lot of the times it's going to maybe at least enhance it. I'd say that the two places that we see it be the most effective are, number one, for those like top of funnel, cold awareness building types of ads where you want to draw in new people into your funnel. A lot of people, they will just kind of scroll by a lot of company page posts or, stuff like that. But it's more likely that a post from a person is going to kind of hook their attention and they're going to sit there and read it. So it kind of makes for a nice, good new into your funnel that way. Somebody might see that post from a person and, they're going to read through that case study or those step-by-steps that they're posting. and then that's going to get their attention. And then once they've watched that video or clicked on that post, boom, then they're in your retargeting audience. And then you can kind of continue explaining that story in your retargeting campaigns. So I like that for top of funnel. I see it be effective there. And then also when somebody is in your, your audience there, then you can have that array of content and voices that you're boosting to them so that they're going to get to see and kind of get to know a variety of different people in your organization. Maybe they see all those different testimonials that other people are posting that you're boosting. So it also makes for a really nice like nurture and retargeting campaign where you can have all these voices. They're going to feel like they're getting to know all the people in your company. Yeah. And there is so much power in that like familiarity component of like, if you have like a company where you don't know anybody there, like the tool looks cool and all that, but then you have another company that maybe it's on par with this other one, but you've like heard all these people on LinkedIn, you've heard other people talking about it. Of course, you're going to go with that one because it's so much more familiar, comfortable, you trust it a lot more, and you see everyone else talking about it. So you want to be part of that crowd.
Got it. Actually, pretty interesting. Both top of the funnel, total cold, general top of the funnel brand building, and more importantly, retargeting, so that if there is an MQL or a deal which account executives are chasing, if you are able to retarget with an influencer-based ad or promote an ad to the same set of companies or the companies which you are chasing in your account-based marketing list, then the chances of conversion or even having a great conversation or accelerating the pipeline becomes much better. And you can also then measure the impact, saying that, okay, I showed these ads, these are the days when the ads got viewed, and then how did the pipeline accelerate after that? So a standard pipeline takes 4 months, but this took 3.5 months or 3 months, etc., and you'll be able to measure that. It's pretty interesting. That's it. And then the next level stuff is like, of course, we work in attribution space, and no B2B marketing company just does one ad channel. It's multi-touch over multi user base, and also over a period of time, which is there is Google ads, there is programmatic ads, there is LinkedIn ads. There's also, of course, Twitter and Reddit now, and a few other this thing. How does this integrate with the overall ad budgeting? What would be the kind of budgets are companies spending for this, for example? And also broadly, how much is the budget increase into, if there are $100, how it has been for LinkedIn over a period of last 4 years, which has happened, how it has changed, and within that, how you would allocate or you would suggest allocating into thought leadership ads?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'd say it is very flexible. Like to get started, you can just start with one small campaign, $10 a day, boom, that at least gets you started. And then it depends on how much content you have available. So I'd say take a step-by-step approach. Split test this with your current content. The easiest first step is just start that retargeting campaign and boost posts from people to your already warm audience. That's going to be your most effective, best step one. And then past that, then split test this with your other awareness building content. Are you getting better engagement and CPMs and stuff like that within all that? The tracking attribution side, this is probably the biggest thing in B2B marketing right now, of like the biggest challenge and the biggest thing that we need to focus on. And, how can we get visibility there into the funnel? So lots of different things is, of course, add whatever tracking that you can add. So the new dynamic UTMs will now apply to, when you boost a post from a person, they might not have added UTMs to it. They can go edit their post to go update that URL to add UTMs to it. So, you can add whatever tracking you can. And then the new dynamic UTMs will also, when you add UTMs for your campaign, those will then apply to the link in somebody's post, which is nice. So that kind of helps. But then past that, if somebody just sees a post from a person and then goes to search and goes to your website to learn more, that's a very hard interaction to track. So then you'll want to have like a "how did you hear about us" type of input. And then lots of times you'll see inputs of like, "Oh, I follow everybody at our company," or "I've been seeing John's posts for the last year," or whatever. So like you want to look out for things like that in the "how did you hear about us" input, so that you can see, is that being effective? But overall B2B measurement is definitely like a big thing at the moment.
Actually, I like the split test idea. So something like you run a thought leadership ad and you also have your normal general ad, and you can understand like how many impressions it got, what's the cost per impression at each level. And then if you're saying for your general retargeting campaign, if you're spending $2,000 a month, then you can allocate the same budget for your thought leadership ads as well. And if the budgets match, or if it is based on the CPM and based on the kind of output which is there, you can have a basic bar and then either increase or decrease the budget based on that, and then you can work on it. Another measurement side, I have some interesting inputs based on our own experience as well. Is like one thing which we do, and this is something which thanks to the LinkedIn marketing API which comes in, is we are an LinkedIn marketing and attribution partner. LinkedIn API can help you understand which companies are just viewing your ads.
Right.
So if you're running ads, LinkedIn, this thing, you can go to the campaign manager, but you'll see only the top 20 companies which are viewing your ads. Of course, you can also do that, hit the API every 24 hours and then get list of all companies. But the API will give you each and every company which has seen just more than 2 impressions, which is like a pretty large set. So if you are doing ads to 1,000 companies, you can actually see which of those 1,000 companies have viewed your ads, how many times they have viewed, and you can measure, and then you can say, like, can I get an audience segment of how many companies which have seen more than 100 impressions, how many companies have seen more than 50 impressions, etc. The other interesting part is if you take that data and then combine that with your website analytics data or de-anonymization data, you can see which of those companies saw your LinkedIn ad, later came back to your website. Which is that. So it's in a sense like you can say like, okay, LinkedIn is like a billboard ad, it's pretty costly, but we can see like which companies have seen your ad, later came back to your website, either organically or through paid search or directly from that LinkedIn ad. This is something which generally gets missed out because Google Analytics will say what was the last touch, which can be organic search or a Google paid search. But actually the ad was seen first on LinkedIn by this company. Later, the same company came back to your website over a period of time, just like how when you see a billboard, you don't immediately react, you later come back to your website after, or you go back to that particular product page after a couple of days or a couple of weeks. The same thing you can do. Now, this is interesting for me in a thought leadership thing. When I promote or boost a thought leadership ad, this would be done from my ad account, right? From my company ad account. Yep. So I can, so this is basically from fundamentally tagged as, let's say, Factors.ai works with Anthony Bratner to run a thought leadership ad. And when we promote, let's say you make a post and we promote that post, it will be shown as a LinkedIn Factors.ai campaign on LinkedIn. So whichever audience which sees that particular ad and campaign, we'll be able to see on our side, like, okay, these are the companies which saw the Anthony Blatner ad of Factors.ai, in a sense. And then we can see how many of them then came back to the website.
Yes. So that's an awesome capability to have. I should have mentioned that there's a couple new tools recently that will now leverage the new LinkedIn API to get some of that data. And yes, that is like the most valuable addition to tracking recently, to be able to connect impressions to activities that happen past that. I've seen a few graphics that are super interesting, and like we know this happens, but it's like, this company saw 100 impressions, and you can see like the journey, and then they go to do a Google search for that company and request a demo, and like that demo request says Google because that was the last touch, but it was probably those 100 impressions they saw over the last few months that got them to do that. So yes, that's like that right there is the biggest challenge in B2B marketing, and like being able to have this journey, this data, and this journey data is like amazing visibility to have.
That's right. No, actually, as a marketer, now you see the impact of this, right? Now you can actually promote the ads through multiple people. You can actually see how those events actually came back to your website. And now you can have multiple influencers. You can say like, regular brand campaign created so many visits to my pricing page. Influencer campaign 1 created so much into my pricing page. Influencer campaign 2 did so much. And now you can combine attribution with thought leadership and say like how many of them eventually led to pipeline creation, in a sense, and how it worked. That's one thing. Second thing, which you mentioned in the initial part of the conversation, and that's something which we had, I would have a slight disagreement. That is that LinkedIn ads are costly. Of course, thought leadership ads with a much higher engagement, 3 to 4x, LinkedIn ads are going to seem to be less costly than what it was generally there. But thanks to the same thing which you mentioned, which is like generally people see a LinkedIn ad and later come into your website either directly or through organic search or through paid search, which is there. We are not able to see the influence. But now with this attribution, which is a view through attribution, we are able to see which companies saw your LinkedIn ads and later drove paid search. So how much of paid search is driven by LinkedIn ads? How much of organic search is driven by LinkedIn ads, and how much of pipeline is actually influenced by LinkedIn ads? When you actually see the numbers are not very different from Google search.
Right.
In this thing. And now this gives far more confidence, one, with thought leadership ads, which much more engagement, where like third party this thing, it can actually be much more cheaper than Google search ads, or more of an integral part of the strategy which is there. And that's something which I think a lot of marketers or B2B marketers should be or would be surely leveraging this at a much higher scale. So that's something
It's
I
also
think
like the concept of like win before Google, because if someone's going to Google to search for a topic or a category, then they're going to be evaluating everybody else that shows up on that page. So if they just go to search for your name specifically, or just go right to your website, that helps you win before somebody starts shopping around to other competitors out there.
That's very interesting. Win before Google. I'll use that as a tag for this thing. One more thing, which is obviously comes is like, where are the places where this can fail? For example, sometimes any new thing, it can be used at pretty large scale and a lot of influencers, a lot of this thing. Where are things it can look very disingenuous or like kind of dishonest, or like where it is, and how do you make sure that this doesn't get overused or doesn't come across as something which is blatant ad?
That's a good question. Where would this fail? I guess like the things you just mentioned there are like, do you trust the content that person's posting? People can post whatever they want. So sure, it's possible that somebody posts something that's not true or something like that. Yeah, I'd say like that's something. As far as like where it could fail, I don't know. I kind of just see it as more of like a new tool to add to like your toolbox.
Maybe I think as more people use it, we'll find how, just like how with any kind of a new action or a new tool in the market, we'll see where things can go crazy or things can go this thing. And
yeah,
it's
so maybe that's TBD. We'll see. Marketers always ruin things, so we'll see what happens.
Actually, we are the most creative and entrepreneurial in terms of people. So I think we will find new ways to destroy or create new things. So that's fine. That's it. That's one thing about LinkedIn thought leadership ads. Another thing, one other thing which I'll just take a digression a bit into a more larger LinkedIn ads schema thing, and which is you have worked with so many LinkedIn ads folks, and also you are being as a LinkedIn certified partner, you work very closely with LinkedIn team as well. Some of the I was going through some of your previous YouTube videos as well. If you can also explain, like LinkedIn has gone ahead with a lot of product improvements over the last couple of years, both around measurement, around a lot of even ads and few other things. If you can shed light on like what are the new things which are happening on LinkedIn, what are the things which you need to really check out beyond what you're seeing with thought leadership ads, both on the measurement or on the ad or creative part which is there, or campaign management part. That will also be great for the audience to say like, okay, I use thought leadership ads and along with I use a couple of other things, and then make a kind of a larger painting around that.
That's a good question. So I would say like the two things that I think about the most recently are probably the measurement and attribution portion. So we touched on that a little bit, but there's lots of different tools that are available. So as you also mentioned, like I just had a podcast a couple of weeks ago with a couple of people from LinkedIn who are over the measurement products, and that's a great, if you're interested in learning more, go check that out. But to kind of summarize that, LinkedIn's been rolling out lots of new tools, and I think they're extremely aware of how important measurement and proving results are, especially in all the different privacy changes that have been happening recently. Because if a company can't see results or prove results, then people aren't going to advertise or market on LinkedIn, and then that hurts their business. So I think they're extremely aware of that, and the more that they can help marketers prove the results and just show what's happening, the better that's going to be for both the marketer and for LinkedIn and for everybody. So they've put a lot of focus on these new tools they've been developing, and I think there's some great new stuff that they've been rolling out. So number one, the conversions API adds a lot of new capabilities to, number one, push conversion data into LinkedIn, so that we can track conversions that are happening offline, maybe in your CRM and other places. The website actions tool is super handy to be able to add.
I'll just pause you on the conversions API. Can you elaborate more on the conversions API? Like for the overall audience, we are also a CAPI partner, but conversions API seems to be something like almost every LinkedIn sales team and also company, they are pushing actively around. So what is conversions API and why is it so important?
Yeah, so the conversions API is a way to push offline data into LinkedIn to count different conversions. So previously it was all digital conversions. So if somebody goes to a web page or submits a form or goes to a thank you page, you would then track conversions based off that. But so much of B2B marketing happens offline. So, they're gonna request that demo, but then did they have the demo? Did that person, are they qualified to buy? Did they become an open opportunity? Did they close? All that happens offline. So, that can be somebody moving between stages in your pipeline in HubSpot or Salesforce or any CRM that you're using. And then when that action happens, you want to trigger conversion back to LinkedIn to say, hey, this person became an opportunity, this person closed. And then that gives you more visibility into which campaigns and ads are driving those effects. So that conversions API enables all that to happen. So yeah, Cappy, super interesting, super useful, and a lot of tools are now leveraging that. So we're getting a lot more visibility into the different actions that are happening. Yeah, so to answer your question.
That's the Cappy. The other parts, which were the new things which are happening on the measurement space, which is that I'm sorry, I interrupted you. I think I stopped you.
Yeah, website action. So now you can track other things, not just just the page load on LinkedIn. So button clicks or other things like that. You can track that using website actions. The revenue attribution report, which is very handy to connect Salesforce data, and then some new stuff coming soon, but Salesforce data to LinkedIn impression data to see, how much impact is LinkedIn having, because so many interactions are just impressions and not clicks. So it's useful to see how do your impressions also impact deals in your pipeline in Salesforce. So I think those are the main ones. I'm probably missing one or two, but
is that real time? Is that real time? Is it something like how do deals, or is it something like which companies have in your Salesforce pipeline have seen LinkedIn ads? Is it kind of at an overall level, or is it something like in real time these impressions happen? Is it something like a very clear lift report or something of that sort? Or LinkedIn?
Yeah, I'm actually not sure what the delay is between that showing up. As far as I know, it's like pretty quick, but I'm actually not sure what that exact delay is between when you have that impression, that deal closes, how soon does that show up in the raw report? Yeah, that's a good question to ask.
That's interesting. Good. And this can be any Salesforce data, right? It can be even an MQL or a lead or other thing. Doesn't need to be a
Yeah, it also calculate pipeline metrics, which is also another nice thing to kind of get visibility into, because of course you have sales, but then B2B can take so long. So what is your pipeline stats looking like before they close into sales? So that is useful to get to.
Got it. So this is like a huge number of this thing. One last before we go back into, I want to talk to you about your agency. This thing, both very specifically into LinkedIn. One of the things which happens in LinkedIn, which this thing is like when you want to advertise to 100 companies, and you have a certain budget and you want to make sure that each of those companies get the same level of impressions, it's more or less maximum like plus or minus 10%, which is there. But what generally happens is a small group of companies, or like let's say 10% of the companies end up having 70% of the impressions. And this basically creates a kind of like odd this thing, like these companies have received LinkedIn impressions, but not enough. The rest of the companies haven't got enough impressions to make a substantial impact, while a small group of companies have taken the lion's share of the impressions, and it has actually become a kind of like you don't need to show more. They would have anyways converted even with 10 impressions. Why show 40 impressions to them? Is that something as a problem which you see coming in from LinkedIn, or like even running your own LinkedIn ads accounts?
That can definitely happen, especially when you target big companies. It's very easy for a big company to kind of cannibalize all the impressions that you're going to see. So sometimes if you leave company size targeting off, or you're going after like the really big companies, you might see like there's an example that I saw recently of like we launched to maybe 1K and up in company sizes, and then it was like Amazon, Google, Microsoft that got like 90% of the impressions. And when you target really big companies, it's very easy for all that to happen. LinkedIn doesn't have a great way of doing frequency capping at the moment. I'm hearing that Factors might be offering a way to do that, so go check out Factors. But right now, the only frequency capping that is in play is like in sponsored content campaigns. If you have, and they're always changing these numbers, but if you have like one ad live, I think the limit is like one impression per 24 hours. If you have two ads live, it's 2, 3 ads, 3, and then that goes up to I think 7 over 24 or 48 hours. So the number of active ads you have in your campaign is considered about the frequency capping. But past that, go check out Factors.
Sure. I mean, of course, we are also taking market feedback and input onto like what are the needs around LinkedIn and this thing, and we are moving into some of the new features, both around frequency capping and day parting, apart from our attribution report and CAPI, which we are implementing. So thanks a lot for that shout out, Anthony. Last set of questions before we close. It's like we are in the last 15 minutes, which is there, Anthony. You have been a LinkedIn marketing agency. It's been for 8 years, which is there. And you have also run another agency within previously before 4 years. Can you please talk about a couple of things which I really want to know? It's like, one, you have experience with almost hundreds of companies on like what works on LinkedIn, what doesn't work on LinkedIn, why companies have to choose LinkedIn, where are the places where, like, at what stage when you start spending on ads, whether as a B2B company or as a startup, which is there, like, do you have to spend on LinkedIn ads after Google search ads, or do you have to start it alongside with Google search ads? How do you start how do you start viewing LinkedIn as a very, very clear go-to-market channel, which is there? If you can share your insights, more than it can be something like a repeat of certain things and other thing, but more importantly, it will give a lot of confidence to both, mostly importantly, startup or Series A companies, which we have seen when they even spend 100K a month, they'll spend only plain on Google search ads. They wouldn't even allocate 5 to 6K on a LinkedIn ads. We'd like to see whether that perception can change and it can actually give a much better kind of like, and perception change for the good reasons rather than this thing. So we hope to help give them confidence.
So when do you get started and how do you get started on LinkedIn? There's a lot there. So the basic first step that most people can take, almost everyone can take, is like start with a retargeting campaign. No matter who you are, you're probably getting at least some people checking out your company page, just organically on LinkedIn. You might be getting some website traffic. So easiest first step is to start your retargeting campaign to continue to market to those people that are already coming to visit you. Very little risk and downside in doing that. So that's usually the first step that I recommend everybody. And then past that, as you get into cold targeting and new acquisition, the things that you think about are like what makes LinkedIn a good fit for you, and like who's, what works. So usually it's number one, where's your audience? If your audience is a professional audience, is a type of audience that's going to be online and checking LinkedIn, then you'd want to consider that as a channel. These days, there's a lot of people on LinkedIn, so it's hard to find ones that don't, but there are ones that maybe are more digitally active versus not. Of course, the construction industry, people working in construction, they're going to be on site all day, so they're probably not checking LinkedIn very often, versus marketers and salespeople and executives. They're on LinkedIn a lot. So that's how you can kind of evaluate your audience. And I'm always surprised at times when I'll build a different audience and see how big it is and how many people are there. And then you can run it and then you can test it. So a lot of it's test and see what that audience reach looks like. And then people that have the most success do tend to be ones with higher price points and that already have a sales process in place. When I think about advertising, it's like throwing fuel on the fire. So you got to have a fire to throw fuel on. So it can be challenging for some startups if they don't have product market fit yet or don't have their sales process figured out yet. If you're trying to like press the gas on something that's already not figured out, it's going to be more challenging. You're going to have a lower ROI. But there's also startups that are, maybe they're funded and they're just ready to, start testing things. You can use ads to test for sure. So these are all different things you'll kind of consider. But if you're not sure or you're still very early stages, then it can be more challenging. You're going to have to put more budget to do testing. And then the better, if you have a sales process that's figured out, then you're a lot more likely to have success. If you have things that you've seen work other places, then you can go use advertising to throw fuel on the fire for that.
Awesome. Last two questions, and I'll keep this the same. One is like, you have worked with so many companies and other things, and which are the places, or like at least one example where you have seen LinkedIn ads work spectacularly well? It's like, thrown out of this thing, and an example where like LinkedIn ads failed, and what are the reasons, and what's the postmortem analysis around these things?
Sure. So times that I've seen them fail is the case when like we're not sure about product market fit. I'd say there have been cases where like a new startup is launching, they're still kind of working on their product market fit. Maybe we're testing several different audiences, several different offers, and then maybe nothing's working to the extent of that it's going to work profitably for them. So If you're an early stage startup, you kind of have to expect that. We can use LinkedIn to reach these people, but are they going to be interested in what you're offering? Are they going to request a demo? Are they going to go through your sales process and close? So earlier stage companies tend to struggle more because of that. More mature companies, of course, they have their sales process figured out. They know the offers that work, and then those are going to be more likely to be successful. And then like times when it does work well, it's bigger companies that have things figured out. I mean, maybe I'll share a recent example of a new software platform that was launching at the start of this year. There were some new kind of industry requirements that were being rolled out, and this industry needed to, for compliance reasons, needed to adapt to these requirements. So those like new requirements went in place this year. So we launched the campaigns for this software platform and went, very direct to demo of like, hey, these new requirements are coming out, request a demo here, see how you can be compliant and stuff like that. That campaign did extremely well. And, there's a lot of, should you go direct to demo or not? And it all depends on the audience and the offer. So this was a case where there was active market demand. The audience was aware of it. We could go direct to demo. It was a brand new company, a brand new platform, but we could go direct to demo because all those cases were true. So, we drove lots of demo requests. Those had a very high conversion rate into opportunity. And then they've made like lots of sales already from it. So that's a very nice way to see the funnel of driving to those demos, seeing them turn into opportunities, see those closes happening, and then that creates like a great funnel there.
Awesome. I mean, that's interesting. I think agency founder who I met a couple of years back, he told me one thing very clearly. It's like the agency can't solve, or the ads can't solve for your product market fit issue. But if you have the product market fit ready, and if you have this thing, we can actually do a 10x of that. So
right.
I think that's where this thing comes. One last question from one of the audiences. He was asking, like, how do you use LinkedIn thought leadership ads or LinkedIn ads specifically to promote an agency itself?
To promote an agency? Well, you can go check out our company page, and then you'll get retargeted by some ads, and you can see. But we have a podcast we've been doing, and then different like case studies that I've posted about, and that other people on our team have posted about. We do boost a lot of those. So for an agency, what I like is like the podcast, conversations with customers or just other companies in the industry. I'll be talking with them about like what's working, the campaign approaches. I think just kind of like, building in public is like a good approach and way of, approaching your marketing. You share kind of how it works, share results, talk through it with them. So I think thought leader ads are great for that, where we can share results, we can share approaches, techniques, and strategies, maybe when they work and maybe when they don't work, and then being able to post those. I think overall in B2B, we're seeing a lot of like, get something into someone's hands or show them how it works as much as possible and let them self-educate to the point when they're ready to request a call from you. We're seeing a lot with that with like interactive demos and stuff like that. So the more that you can do that for your agency services, I think you will have the same effect of like the more that they understand and know how your process is going to work, they can self-educate and come to you kind of ready to move forward. And you'll remove a lot of those people who are just kind of kicking the tires beforehand. So yeah, share how your agency works. Share the process, share some wins, share some tips and tricks and stuff like that to kind of showcase your expertise. And all those make great posts and great thought leader ads.
Awesome. Lastly, Anthony, we know we can find you on LinkedIn. We know you have a YouTube channel as well, and this thing we're posting that for the rest of the audience also for them to sing. So I guess LinkedIn and your YouTube channel and your website would be the best way to reach out to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great.
You send me a connection request, put some message in there because I get so many connection requests.
Okay, so connection request to Anthony referencing factors.ai would actually get you a acceptance. Would that be a good thing? That's great. Before we just close in, what does Anthony do outside work and LinkedIn?
Outside of work?
Anthony probably get to know about Anthony.
But outside of work, I live in Austin, Texas, and there's a lot of good music here. So we go see a lot of shows around town. I always like going to live shows. So lots of music in Austin. Outside of that, I do a lot of running when the weather's nice. I've done a handful, I've done a lot of races. I've done a handful of marathons. So when the weather's nice, I like to go running. That's my exercise. But music and running are probably the main two things I spend time on outside of work. I guess traveling too. I feel like now that the world's opened back up, I've done a lot of traveling the past year. I was just in New York 2 weeks ago at the LinkedIn event. So that was fun to see everyone in New York and get back to the
Any
city.
trips to India, or have you been to India before?
I have not. Nothing's on the calendar, but hey, if we can get something on the calendar, that would be a fun trip.
Well, that'll be great. I mean, we have quite a lot of SaaS or companies here. LinkedIn has a pretty big office here as well, and almost 20% of the world's population. So whenever you choose to come, we'll really love to host you here. So
I'll let you know.
Sure. Thanks a lot, everyone, for being part of this show. And thanks a lot, Anthony, for taking your time out. And we'll be sharing snippets and also posting this onto a video. So very, 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 very happy to host you here. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Sri.
Thank you. Bye.